In today's Final Touch, a Dodgers fan visiting San Francisco to watch his team take on the Giants got pretty lucky last night, or maybe unlucky, depending on how you look at it.
So he's in the right spot to just about snag this foul ball with his left hand and a tray of fries in his right hand, but ends up having to dump his snack to pick up the ball. Then later, another foul ball to the same guy. This time, he lost both his pizza and the ball. He seems to be in the right place at the right time, but probably pretty hungry by now.
He's lost a lot of money.
He sure has. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
Tonight at 5, the battle over the state budget. Governor Tony Evers responding after Republicans say they will remove his Medicaid expansion plan.
Now the city of Madison is planning on addressing how the city is planning on addressing the food desert on Madison's south side.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3 Now. The battle over Medicaid expansion comes to a head tonight.
As Governor Tony Evers' proposal is blocked by Republican legislative leaders, Rose Schmidt explains their arguments, and she's here to tell us what happens next. Rose?
Yeah, so Democratic Governor Tony Evers' budget proposal is built around accepting federal Medicaid expansion money, freeing up $1.6 billion from other health care spending. But Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos won't budge on that expansion, which he's repeatedly called a non-starter.
We're not giving up. Nope. We're not giving up.
With applause from his Democratic colleagues and supporters, Governor Tony Evers is not backing down on providing Medicaid to an additional 82,000 people in Wisconsin.
So I'm here today with a message for the people of Wisconsin. I'm going to fight like hell for Medicaid expansion. I need your help to get it done.
He's responding to a memo that came out Wednesday from the Republican leaders of the state's budget committee, who say Medicaid expansion is one of more than 70 items they'll take out of the budget.
Governor Evers and his allies are not telling the full story.
Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos is a longtime opponent of Medicaid expansion, saying it will shift more costs to taxpayers as about 40,000 people would have to give up their private insurance. But Democrats on the budget committee are hoping to sway some other GOP lawmakers who've said they would be willing to compromise.
I would implore my Republican colleagues to not follow Robin Vos off a cliff.
The Marquette Law School poll last month showed 70% of voters polled are in favor of Medicaid expansion. Vos says while Evers ran on the plan, he did not.
We don't just simply put our finger in the air and ask people what they think we should do. We have to actually take all the information and make a decision that is in the best interest of the state.
And the speaker says he does not want to hurt the private sector health insurance market or raise costs.
We are not going to give in just because Tony Evers continues to use misleading rhetoric about what the impact would be on the insurance market.
The Joint Committee on Finance plans to meet next Thursday at 11 a.m., where the Republican co-chairs say they will remove Evers' priorities in a single vote.
Rose, thank you.
Well, let's get a look at your first alert forecast now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joining us from the weather patio. Gary?
Another cloudy, dreary day. At least it's not raining. We had some showers earlier this morning, but those have moved by. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud tracks. Still plenty of clouds around. The clouds are trying to break up for a time across parts of Minnesota and Iowa, but they've kind of filled back in because there's just a lot of moisture around. And as the temperatures start to cool off a little bit, we'll also see some areas of fog form. But the showers that we had this morning have moved off to the east. There were some heavier thunderstorms over parts of Illinois. Those moved into Michigan and Indiana, and things are really settling down now. The last of the showers over Milwaukee will be heading out into Lake Michigan probably within the next hour or two. Low temperatures this morning were in the 30s to the east and northeast of Madison, around 40 here in town, a little bit milder, mid-40s across southwestern Wisconsin. High temperatures so far today have only stayed in the 40s near Lake Michigan. Here in Madison, we've been a degree warmer than yesterday. We're at 52 for the high, and to the west, temperatures are in the mid to upper 50s, and right now we're at that high temperature for the day of 52. These temperatures may go up another degree or so in the next hour or so before they start heading down. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be down into the lower to middle 40s. Look for cloudy skies, some areas of fog overnight. And then tomorrow, look for mostly cloudy skies. There's just a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon, but temperatures will go up a couple more degrees. Still below normal, but look for a high of 60. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
All right, thank you, Gary. A Middleton officer is remembered today with a funeral procession through the city streets as friends and colleagues pay their respects. Katie Berrios died last week after a 2.5-year battle with brain cancer, a fight that started started just a short while after she joined the department, but her impact among her friends and coworkers will be a lasting one.
But she very quickly, even in the short 6 months before she got ill, made lifelong connections with a number of our officers, not just professional connections, but personal connections. She was well-liked, well-respected, I think, everywhere that she went.
Governor Evers ordered flags be flown in her honor today from sunup to sunset. The Cassville native was a veteran officer of several departments, including the Mount Horeb PD and the Iowa County Sheriff's Department. She leaves behind a husband and 4 children.
We are learning new information about the man and 2 children found dead in a home in Seymour in Outagamie County last month. Court documents say all 3 had stab wounds and that police had gone to that home the day before their bodies were found to investigate a report of domestic violence. Police found the bodies of 35-year-old Andrew Poppy, 4-year-old Madeline Sampson, and 3-month-old Haley Poppy in the home April 19th. Investigators have not identified any suspects in those deaths and say it was an isolated incident. Poppy had been convicted of disorderly conduct back in 2015. A Rock County man is facing charges of first-degree reckless homicide after allegedly supplying dangerous drugs.
Chaz Harris is linked to a December overdose death that happened in the city of Beloit. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with more. Adam?
Well, Eric and Susan, back in December, 2 men found a woman slumped over in her car near the Woodmans in Beloit. Now, about 4 months later, police say they might be one step closer to knowing who's responsible. In December, this Woodmans parking lot is where a woman was found dead. Toxicology reports showed hours before she'd taken heroin mixed with fentanyl. A substance Beloit Police Chief David Zabalski says has made its way into town.
It can also give more of a high to the user, but it's also extremely lethal.
4 months after the victim, who a criminal complaint refers to as OVR, overdosed in Beloit, police arrested Chaz Harris, suspected on providing the heroin that December day.
It works its way up from your large supplier to street-level dealers who take it and mix it in with other narcotics.
Zabalski says since 2017, the city of Beloit has responded to over 140 overdoses, many of those coming from repeat users who have already overdosed at least once before.
They get revived with Narcan or through other means. They go to the hospital, and they live essentially to overdose again.
Harris now faces first-degree reckless homicide charges for his role in the overdose death. And while this incident is now potentially spoken for, Zabalski says the problem itself is much larger.
That person there is a street-level delivery person. And if we aren't going and getting the larger supplier and shutting down the ability for the product to be on the street, it's not as effective as we would like.
Harris will appear in Rock County Court tomorrow at 3 p.m. for an adjourned initial appearance. Chief Zabalski says Harris was already in Rock County Jail for previous crimes when he was assessed with these charges.
Adam Duxter live in Janesville. Adam, thank you. A man who pleaded guilty to fatally shooting a Milwaukee police officer was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 52-year-old Michael Michalski was killed when he went to a North Side Milwaukee home last July to arrest Jonathan Copeland on a warrant for felony drug crimes. Copeland changed his plea to guilty just as opening statements were to begin in his trial on 3 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. Copeland also faced charges for shooting at 2 other officers who were not injured. As part of a plea deal, prosecutors agreed to dismiss charges of attempted homicide and being a felon in possession of a gun.
A school bus was involved in a crash this morning. This happened in Richland County. Richland Center police said it happened on State Highway 80, just south of Richland Center, before 7:30 this morning. Officials say a woman was driving an SUV southbound and slowed down because a vehicle in front of her was turning left. That's when a school bus operated by 62-year-old Stephen Downs failed to stop and crashed into that SUV. The woman driving the SUV was taken to a hospital. No students in the bus were injured. Downs was cited for failure to have control of a vehicle.
A Sauk County man is facing his 6th operating while intoxicated charge following a crash. Sauk County deputies say someone reported a driver crossing the center line on State Highway 33 near Coon Bluff Road on Monday night. Deputies later pulled over the driver, 46-year-old Jason Garricky of Reedsburg, but he then drove away before reportedly crashing in a ditch in the town of Delton. Garricky refused medical attention and was taken into custody. His mother, Nancy, suffered injuries and was taken to an area hospital. Garricky is facing multiple charges.
3 people are in custody after trying to use fake money at Emilio's in Janesville. Police say the restaurant reported 2 customers passing the fake bills and then leaving the store. Officers found the suspects at a nearby Super 8 hotel. The 2 original suspects, 34-year-old Elijah Robinson and 18-year-old Marquise Harris, both from Chicago, were arrested there. And a 3rd person was also arrested, 26-year-old Janya Dejereau, on outstanding warrants. So far, 2 businesses in that area have reported those counterfeit bills. Police are working to figure out if there are still more out there.
Facebook announced today it has banned Paul Nealon, who unsuccessfully ran for Congress in Wisconsin in 2016 and 2018. He has been accused in the past of making anti-Semitic comments. A Facebook spokesperson said multiple factors go into banning someone from the site, including whether the person or organization has ever called for violence against individuals based on race, ethnicity, or national origin, whether the person has been identified with a hateful ideology, or whether they use hate speech or slurs in their About section on their social media profiles. Also, whether they have had pages or groups removed from Facebook for violating hate speech rules.
Fears that part of Madison's South Side would become a food desert are being quashed today.
The city and SSM Health are joining forces to make sure that food access continues there. Keely Arthur is here now with the details. Keely?
Well, the Pick and Save along that area is really one of the only full-service grocery stores there. And outcry came from neighbors when it was announced that SSM Health would take over that property to build a medical center. Today, those concerns were answered when the city announced it plans to use a piece of city property near the area to build a new full-service grocery store. On top of that, SSM Health will work with the city on the timetable to ensure that there will be little, if any, time the area is without a grocery store.
There's a bunch of things that are coming together there that mean that there is a potential with redevelopment for everybody to get more of what they want, I think. And there may be some growing pains in the process, but I'm really hopeful actually now that in the long term, what we're going to get is something that's really positive for the community.
SSM Health issued a statement saying, in part, we look forward to collaborating with the city of Madison and the community to move forward with a project that is in the best interest of all parties. Now, the city of Madison will soon issue a request for proposal for the new development. We should get a better sense of the timeline at the next council meeting, which is on May 14th.
Thanks, Keely.
All right, Keely, thank you. More to come on News 3 now. At 5 up next, there's a growing feud on Capitol Hill between congressional Democrats and the Justice Department after the Attorney General skips a hearing on the Mueller report.
Federal agents will soon begin DNA testing at the southern border. We'll have reaction to the new program.
And more red numbers on Wall Street today. The Dow tumbling 122 points. The NASDAQ off 13, while the S&P drops a half dozen. We'll be right back. Attorney General William Barr is facing intense scrutiny from Democratic leaders after his refusal to testify before the House Judiciary Committee.
Yesterday, Senate lawmakers grilled Barr for 5 hours about his handling of special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accused the Attorney General of not being truthful when he testified before the Senate panel yesterday.
If anybody else did that, it would be considered a crime. Nobody is above the law, not the President of the United States and not the Attorney General.
People say, how do you get through that whole stuff? How do you go through those witch hunts and everything else? And you know what we do, Mike? We just do it, right? And we think about God.
House Democrats are threatening to hold the Attorney General in contempt if the Justice Department doesn't have oversight over the full unredacted Mueller report in the coming days.
The Department of Homeland Security will launch a DNA testing program at the southern border as early as next week. The department says the new pilot program will involve a voluntary cheek swab with results expected in under 2 hours. That program will target human traffickers who are smuggling and exploiting children.
Also trying to identify those families that are presenting as a parent or guardian that are not actually a parent or guardian, and the fraud issue that's intrinsic there.
Now, the government claims the DNA samples will be destroyed after tests are run, but the ACLU calls the plan coercive and says it raises serious privacy and civil liberty concerns. In a statement, the ACLU says, quote, "This is yet another example of the Trump administration seeking to intimidate and deter asylum seekers." Well, let's hope we can dry out a little bit in the coming days as the weekend draws near. Here's Gary with our first alert forecast.
Well, you know, every day we get a little bit less rain than the day before, and temperatures go up a couple of degrees, even though we stay cloudy, and that'll be the case again for tomorrow. This morning we had some rain showers. The clouds are still pretty widespread across the entire Midwest, but you can see there have been a couple of breaks in the clouds out toward the La Crosse area, but those clouds have kind of filled back in, and we'll see some areas of fog form overnight. The rain, well, you can see to our west, really nothing showing up on radar. To the east, that's where all the showers are. The last of the showers moving out over Lake Michigan near Milwaukee. And if we look at the rainfall chances as we head into next week, it looks like tomorrow we'll see just a slight chance of a shower. Saturday, pretty dry, and most of Sunday. But beginning Sunday afternoon at noon, we could see some showers and thunderstorms Sunday afternoon and Sunday night, and then more rain chances Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday of next week. So taking us all the way up through the Thursday evening, we're showing about another 1 to 2 inches plus of rain across southern Wisconsin. So we're back in that wet pattern for next week. The European computer model, pretty much the same story. You can see the rain coming in later Sunday afternoon, but the better chances will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and into early Thursday morning before it comes to an end. And the computer model's right on track with another 1 to 2 inches. So very good agreement between the longer range computer models. That gives us more confidence that we're going to see that wet weather period. The time, well, for some reason, the time lapse didn't show up there, but the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville showing mostly cloudy skies. There wasn't much to show on the time lapse because it looked pretty much the same all day. The WISC Skycam looking out toward the west, maybe a little peak of sun on the far western horizon. Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, though, pretty well socked in with clouds. And the almanac for today, well, we're a degree warmer than yesterday, 52 the high so far after starting out at 41, and I think we've been at 41 the last 3 days now. Right now we're at 52 with mostly cloudy skies, winds out of the north-northeast at 7 miles per hour. Checking out temperatures, they're now in the 50s for most of Wisconsin away from Lake Michigan. Milwaukee only at 41, Marshfield at 49, but most areas away from the Great Lakes are at least at 50 degrees or above. The upper level winds still from the southwest, but that's keeping most of the shower and thunderstorm activity farther to our south and east. They've had some heavy rounds of rain and also some severe weather. Again, more severe weather developing over parts of Texas today. So that seems to be where all the active weather is. We've just been on the northern fringes of this, a lot of clouds, but most of the heavier precipitation is in the vicinity of this front, which again divides temperatures that are in the 60s and 70s to our 40s, 50s, maybe around 60 in a couple of spots. So you have to get used to the cloudy, cool weather. But eventually, you can see on future track, tonight we'll still see a fair amount of clouds and some fog. Tomorrow, clouds, maybe a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. But watch as we get into Saturday. Notice we get a little more sunshine. That'll get temperatures up into the upper 60s. And then on Sunday, as the next weather system comes through, you can see some showers and thunderstorms toward north and west. They could be here by Sunday afternoon, more likely Sunday night. So for tonight, look for mostly cloudy skies, some areas of fog developing, low temperature dropping to 40. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, just a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon, but not quite as cool. High temperature back up to around 60. On future track, again, plenty of clouds overnight. The fog will kind of fill in. Low temperatures dropping to around 40. High temperatures tomorrow around 60. Just a sprinkle or two in the afternoon in a few spots. Tomorrow night, a little more clearing. That will allow temperatures to drop into the upper 30s. But Saturday, with partly sunny skies, I think temperatures should be back into the middle to upper 60s, especially with those winds out of the west and southwest. Rainfall amounts very, very light if we see anything tomorrow. The 7 to 10 day forecast calls for temperatures to be in the upper 60s for the weekend, and then as the rain chances move back in for next week, those temperatures drop into the upper 50s and lower 60s, and then a little bit of a warm up, temperatures around 60 toward the end of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, slowdowns right now in the Beltline, that's at Park Street. We have some problems in the eastbound Beltline. An accident near Stoughton Road is causing delays on the eastbound Beltline from just west of Stoughton Road, almost all the way back to Verona Road. Westbound delays, we're seeing just some minor delays between Fish Hatchery Road and Park Street. Right now, it's a 21-minute commute eastbound on the Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate, 15 minutes back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, 27 minutes to Janesville on I-3990, and 19 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 19 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert Traffic.
All right, thanks, Gary.
Ahead on News 3 Now at 5, how a new type of scam is targeting families looking for a new puppy. We'll explain after a short break. Welcome back. Many Americans will shop for a new dog online.
But it turns out a number of sites advertising purebred puppies for sale are reportedly fake. Don Daler explains.
You're such a handsome boy.
When Wayne Werner and Pamela Lanuzzo,
You're a good boy,
wanted to find a new puppy for their kids, they went looking where most people do.
I Google searched it and it popped up a whole list. I thought I found a dog, Great Dane named Madison, was $800. Got in contact through email, got a response right away.
The Chicago couple sent the money for the blue-eyed Great Dane through Western Union to a company called Walsh Great Danes. They were given a bill of sale and told that Madison would be shipped by air carrier from South Florida. And then
I got a phone call saying the dog was stuck in Savannah, Georgia. I needed to pay an additional $1,500 for this pet carrier safe thing and had to get 3 vaccinations to be able to travel.
That's kind of when I was my heart just started to sink.
It's kind of like, you know, that there's no dog. There's no dog.
And there is no Walsh Great Danes. Their advertised address in Fort Lauderdale is actually a thrift shop. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Wayne and Pamela are victims of an international scam that affects as many as 37,000 people a year, paying an average $100 to $1,000 for dogs they'll never see. The Better Business Bureau also says at least 80% of websites advertising pets for sale, the vast majority believed to be puppies, are frauds and mostly based in West Africa.
This is Elsa and this is Anna.
And a discounted dog should be a warning to consumers, says breeder Jordan Mills.
What kind of advice would you give someone who wanted to get a puppy but was afraid that they might be going to a fraudulent website?
Go to their home. If you can't visit the person, another great resource is to FaceTime them. You want to be able to talk to this breeder, ask them how they got into breeding.
You can also look locally, which is where Pamela and Wayne finally found their beautiful Great Dane, Atticus.
He's the love of our life.
Wayne and Pamela did not lose their $800 because they insured their purchase through Western Union. The Better Business Bureau recommends using a credit card for any online deposits, and they say above all else, meet the dog and breeder in person before buying. Don Daler, CBS News, New York.
Stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment.
Here's a look at some of the stories we are working on tonight. The Attorney General is a no-show before Congress. The Speaker says he lied. Our series, Life and Debt, why many people who say they expected debt forgiveness didn't get it. And the exhibit, traveling to America for the first time to make sure no one ever forgets. On tonight's CBS Evening News.
And not much changing weather-wise. Been the same all week.
Just, baby steps,
Yeah.
to get the temperatures up. But right now, last of the showers moving out of southeastern Wisconsin. A little bit of fog there, but we'll see some areas of fog overnight. Temperatures right now a little milder than yesterday. We're 52 now in Madison, 40s closer to Lake Michigan. Highs upper 60s by Saturday and Sunday, but then rain chances come back for next week, and that'll drop the temperatures again for a few days until we get rid of the rain.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us at 5. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 now at 6. CBS Evening News is next.